Okay, so the homework was exercise 13.3. Okay. Any problems with 13.3? So that's all in order. Okay. Then we went on to cumulative frequency. Right? And we spoke about the cumulative frequency polygon, which is also known as the ogive graph. Yes. Glad you guys are speaking a little now, otherwise the people that will be watching this next year will think I'm talking to myself. No? So keep on doing what you're doing. Please. Right, so yesterday we drew the example 1 on page 449. We spoke about the ogive graph. We spoke about the median. Not so? And now we read the median of the graph. And then we spoke about the lower quartiles and the upper quartiles from the ogive graph. Not so? Thereafter we went into, we didn't do example 2, but I gave you exercise 13.4 to do for homework. Not so? Now, was there any problems with 13.4? Yes, what was the issue? 1? B. D. Use your graph to determine approximately how many toll gates levy are charged at 34 Rand or less. So I would need to draw the graph here. But importantly, what you do is you just get the if you have drawn your ogive graph, okay, and just check what it looks like for number 2. You're going to 70 and then what is your cumulative frequency? What's your total frequency? How many are you in total?
31.
So that is going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. No? The highest is? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 27, 30, 33. No? So when you draw this graph, you look something like that. Not so? So what we do is that is 33. The question was for how many? What is the question?
Use your graph to determine approximately how many toll gates levy a charge of
34 Rand or less. So what happens is, coming here on our graph, you see this is 33, that is 40. So 34 is approximately there. Can you see that? So on your graph you mark 34, you take your ruler and you go up on the graph. Do that for me quickly. Do that? You did. Then what does this reading here tell us? What does this value give? 50. 15. Okay, now my graph is not drawn to scale. You get approximately 15. It says how many have 34 Rand or less. So it's this part here of the graph. Can you see that? So in other words, approximately 15 is the answer. You understand? If it had asked 34 Rand or more, you know what do I do? Same story, but from 15 to 33 I now consider. Where I said more than 34, then that is the part I would consider. It would have been 33 minus 15, and that gives you an answer of 18. Now you see the textbook, the person has drawn the graph, and you have drawn the graph as well. So what happens is, you're not going to draw exactly the same graph. Not so. This is an approximated value. So when we mark your paper, after you've written the exam on this, there's a range in which we accept. Okay, now the textbook doesn't give you the range, they give you exact value that they have worked out. So whenever it says estimate or use the graph, whatever, everybody's graph is going to be different, therefore we have to set up a range and accept your values if it's a bit off from ours. You guys understand? Alright, so that answers number 1D. Then in number 2, any issues there? Any issues with number 2? Sorry? No? Number 3? No? B. D. Again, use your graph to determine how many dams at a level of 72% or less. So again, exactly the same answer as we did before. However, here, it says you must indicate with the letter D. So, if you're going to indicate with the letter D, just coming back to this here, if this was an indicate with the letter D, you would have put the D there. Where would you use your read of your reading, the answer they're looking for there. Okay. Did I ask you to do number 4? No. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to do number 4 with you now on the program, on the board, and then we'll answer all these questions. For homework, I want you guys to do number 5 and 6, 7, 5, 6, and 7, and then we're going to go into variance and standard deviation. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out. We're going to do number 5 together now again, just to make sure you understand this. It's a lot of marks in the exam. Okay, it's, if this question comes in at the end of grade 12, it's worth 10 marks. Okay, so I need to make sure that you understand what's happening in this question. Okay, as is with most of the other topics anyway. So we are looking at number 5. So you guys draw the tables along. I'll pause the video and then we'll take it from there. Are we doing number 4 or number 5? 4, sorry, number 4. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to draw the table quickly. Okay, so at this point we are looking at number 4, and this is out of exercise. It's out of exercise. .4, and this on page 455. Okay. So we are told one index used to compare the levels of currencies is through the McDonald's Big Mac. The Big Mac was chosen because it's a very uniform product that is available everywhere. This index is called the Big Mac Index. Okay? It provides a quick reference to what one currency would buy in another country. In April 2009, the Big Mac cost $3.15 in US, but would have cost $6.67 in Iceland. And of course, the different places will be different. Not so. South Africa came in at $1.30 and $2.29, and so on and so on. The price of Big Mac in 25 countries across the world in 2009 has been grouped in increments of 50 cents and are listed in the given table. Alright, so price in dollars, we are given the intervals here. We are also given the frequencies. Alright. The first question says complete the given table. So what goes into this column here? The first entry will be 14. The next entry will be 19, 20, then 22, then 23, then 23, then 23, then 24, then 25. If I add this up, it's also going to give us 25. Not so? Of course, we don't add this. That value there and that value is always the same. Okay? You don't add the last column. Okay. Now points to be plotted. What points gets plotted? In this case will be $3 and 40. Then $3.50 and 90. Then $4 and 20. 4.5, 5. 5.5, $5.50, then 6. Then $6.50, of course, going to be 50 cents. 7. Okay, so this should be 22, 5 and 23, 5.5 and 23, and 23 again. $6.50, so it will be corresponding to 24, and $7 with 25. See any confusion here? Any confusion, people? No. Right. Next question says, draw a cumulative frequency curve to represent the set of data. Your cumulative frequency curve. Okay. Move this up a bit. So on the x-axis goes our interval, not so. Interval. So we started, the minimum value is 2.5. Price in dollars, 2.5. So what I do is, this is price in dollars. So 2.5 is the smallest. So I go here, 2.5. I break the bar. Why? Because I'm not going from 0 to 0.5, then 0, then 1, then 1.5. I'm not doing that. So to indicate that there's a part missing on the graph, I break the bar. Okay? So it's going to be 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7. I think 7 is the biggest. That's all. And then our cumulative frequency, now cumulative frequency, we have 25 to be the highest, not so? So if I go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, then a lot of the graph is gone to west. Not so? So let's go in threes. I think 3 should suffice. So I go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. I could have gone in twos. 2, 4, 6, 18, 12, 14, 16, 18, 12. Oh no, I would have been short. Not so. So 3 is okay. Okay? You all okay with that, people? So let's go with the points to be plotted. What's the first point that needed to be plotted? Sorry? Let me just see if I can just cut this here. How this is going to work? No, you guys were not talking to me. I don't know what's wrong. Okay. Take it out afterwards. Okay, so the points that needed to be plotted is 3 and 14. So it's 3 and 14. So it's 12, 13, 14. It's 12, 13, 14. So it's approximately. Not so. Then three and a half and 19. 3.5 and 19. So if 18 is there, 19 is just above that. Then 4 and 20. Let's have me call up the numbers, please. 4.5 and? Sorry? 22. So if this is 21, 22 is just above that. Then 5 with? 23. This is less than 24. 5.5? 23. 6? 23. 6.5? 24. So it's on that line. 7? And 25. Just above that. Above 24. Okay, we all agree with that, people? Any confusion? No. So what do we do now? Connect the dots. Smooth curve. Without the ruler. Okay. And do we connect this to 0? To where must we connect it to? 2.5. We ground it to the starting value there. Okay, which is 2.5 in this case. And there we go. Okay. Any confusion? No. So now we are told in C, use your graph to determine and estimate. Remember, not everybody is going to be the same. It's according to what your diagram shows. Okay? But I will do it on the board as indicated here. Use your graph to determine an estimate of the median. So how do you calculate the median? The median. What is the median? The middle number of sorted data. Not so. How many values are here? How many entries are here? 25 divided by 2. 12 and a half. Not so. Say 12 and a half reading or 12 and a half person or 12 and a half Big Mac meal in this case. This is 12. That is 13, 14. So 12 and a half is between these two. Not so. So I take a ruler and I go across. And I turn the ruler down. And I take that reading there. So how much do you think that in terms of dollars it would be? Sorry? $2.9. Not so. $2.90. Or $2.95. Whatever you get up. Does it make sense? Right? So your median is approximately, again is approximation, $2.90, 95. Of course, if you're going to go with a reading over 3, then of course you're going to get it wrong. Can you see that? But according to your diagram, it should make sense. Okay. Let's look at number 2, the lower quartile. The lower quartile is quartile 1. Is the median of the lower set of data. So there's 25 multiplied by a quarter. What's 25 multiplied by a quarter? 6.25. So let's go. There's 6, 7, 8, and then 9 is above that. 6.25 is very, very close to 6, not so? So I get the reading there. And what do you think that would be? 2.6. Let's go with 2.6 or 2.65. 2.6, so $2.60. Do you guys understand? Right? Let's go with number 3. The upper quartile. Another word for upper quartile? 75th percentile or? Quartile 3. Okay? So how do you work out quartile 3? It's 25 times 3 over 4. Which is what? 18.75. So we'll get the approximate value. Here is the upper quartile showing where all the readings are taken and working correct to 2 decimal places. So 18,75, that's your two decimal places. The reading will be taken here. Was that 18,75? So that is 5, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 18,75, very close to 18, not so? So it goes there. Was this marked at 18? What was this dot here? This value here? Is it 19? So which means to say, at 19, it was 3,5. So that means to say that this value must be less than. Not so? It has to be less than. Because 18,75 is less than 19. Not so? So the answer that we get here has to be less than, a bit less than 3.5. So I'm going to say it's approximately $3.45 or 49 cents, whatever. Okay, and I want you to mark your reading there, and that is going to be your Q3. You guys understand? Any confusion? Then the next question, we are told to give the approximate value of the 89th percentile, showing where your reading is taken. So your 89th percentile. Percentile is a representation of a percentage. And a percentage is a what? 100. A part of 1. 1 part of 100. So 89 parts of 100. So your 89th percentile. 89th percentile will be these 25 values, of course, times 89 over 100. So work that out. So what do we get? 22, 25. Okay, so what we do is we go on the graph. Let's use this here. 22, that's 21. 22. A bit above that. So 22, 25. So it's 22, 25. 4,5 corresponded with what? 450 corresponded with what? $4.50, sorry. 22. $4.50 was 22. So if that's 22,25, it has to be just above that. You guys understand? So if it's above $4.50, you can say it's $4.60 or $4.70. Make sense, people? And then we have calculated that. Okay? We can work out, we can draw a box and whisker diagram for this as well if needed. Okay, and we'll do it as follows. Here's your box. Remember, for box and whisker we need a scale. The question was not to draw a box and whisker, no? I'm just showing you could have drawn a box and whisker. Okay, let's use black. So, do you remember this was quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3. So there's your box. And let's say the minimum value, the smallest value, was $2.50 is your box and your whiskers, and say the maximum value was $6.50. No, can't be 6. Let's say it's $7. And there's your whiskers. Can you see that, people? Here's our scale. the x bar is our scale, and we have our box and our whiskers. If they ask you about the skewedness of this data is skewed to the right. As you can see, that is much larger from your median to your minimum. Is much your median to your maximum is much larger than your median to your minimum. Therefore, this data would have been skewed to the right. Or another word for skewed to the right is what? Positively skewed. Okay. Okay, so now we're looking at variance and standard deviation. Okay. So let's see what they tell us about what variance and standard deviation is. So we are told that the median is one measure of central tendency. So central tendency or central values are values that tells us about the data set that we're working with. Okay. And the quartiles indicate the dispersion, the spread about the along the median or around the median. Okay. You guys understand? No? So the measures of central tendency is the middleness or the perfect number that would represent the data set, and the spread of the data, the range and things like that is dealing with the spread across the units that this data covers. The mean is another measure of central tendency, and the standard deviation gives us the spread about the mean. Okay, so the standard deviation, the calculation that we will be going into now, tells us about the range or the spread around the mean. All right. The standard deviation is denoted by the Greek symbol that what's the name there? It's a small s in Greek called sigma. The big S. I think you saw this already. You saw me use something like that before. No? Where did I use that? Geometry, yes. When we talk about sum of triangles. The capital S indicates sum, and small s indicates, we're going to use that for standard deviation. The symbol for variance is standard deviation squared. Thus, standard deviation is the square root of variance. Okay, which is the standard deviation. The standard deviation is can be calculated manually using a table, or it can be calculated using a calculator. Now, we're not going to do it manually. Okay, if you want to do it manually, you can go through the textbook itself and learn how to do it if you really want to know. Okay. But we are already not doing our homework, so why would we want to know how to do it manually? Not so. So we're going to go straight into using the calculator. Is it okay? Who wants to come after school to know how to do it manually? None of you. Okay, now nobody's looking up again. Okay, the question 1, and this is on page. Let's get the page number, the reference. You see how the table looks? All that calculations must be done if you're going to use a table. Okay? If you make one mistake here, then your table is screwed. Your standard deviation is out. Okay? So we're going to do it using the calculator. There's a few steps in which we're going to enter. We're going to program the calculator to do this calculation. All right. So this was on page 459. Okay, page 459. Example 1 on page 459. So the question says determine the variance. We're going to take variance up. We don't calculate variance. If you do the table, then you work out the table, then we need the variance. And we know that the variance, the square root of the variance is equal to the standard deviation. Okay. So we're not going to do the variance. Whenever we get it in the exam as well, we don't ask the variance. We ask for the standard deviation, and we calculate the mean as well. So we calculate the mean and the standard deviation and the mean. For the following set of marks, out of a total of 100 for a group of 10 learners. Okay. You all understand what we're doing, eh? What we're going to do, we're going to calculate the mean and the standard deviation. People, how do we calculate the mean normally? Add up all those numbers and divide by the number of numbers. In this case, it's 10 numbers. Not so. We sum up first 78 plus 51 plus 8 and so on, and then we divide by 10, we get the mean. Now when we work out the standard deviation on the calculator, okay, it's just one button away from calculating the mean. Okay? So if the question says calculate the standard deviation as well, and then I won't calculate the mean as I normally do. Why? Because the calculator gives the mean anyway. You guys understand? So what we do is to calculate or program the calculator, we do the following. We press, mode. Okay, so I'm going through the steps here. You press mode. Once you press mode, you press stat. I think stat was number 3, no? Number 2 on your guys' calculator, no? For me it's number 3. You want me to change the calculator? Let's change it. So that you guys can see. They want you to now press number 3 and stat is number 2 on your calculator. You guys, you girls and other kind of girls, no? Special kind of girl, no? Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, alright? Maths making you well. Right? So you press mode. 2 for step. Not so. Yeah. Now we press. What number do you think we're going to press? 1. Yes. Why? Because you number 1. No. Not because of that. Because of 1 is variance. Can you see the variance? Pressing 1. 1 variance. First variance. No? 1 long. Long for variance. Can you see that, people? Then we get to enter another dragon. Enter the data. We enter the data. That's so. So now when we put this in a calculator, let's see. You all have this, your calculators looking like this here. Who is seeing something else on the calculator? Other than this. What are you seeing? Frequency. Right. Your calculator is doing that. Don't worry about it, you can just enter it and there will come a 111 next to it. Otherwise, if that is still bothering you, later on in the week I'm going to show you, you actually use that frequency button. But if you want to get that away, you press shift 9, press shift 9. You want to clear all. Just equal for yes. And there we go. So everything back to factory settings. No? Default settings. So again, what do? I press mode. Then 2 for stat, 1 for variance. Now we enter the data. So enter the data quickly. It's going to be 78. Put it in your calculators. 78 equal. Then I'll call it up. 51 equal. 88 equal. 45 equal. 16 equal. 70 equal. 74 equals. 64 equal. 58 equals. 82 equal. So we have entered all this data now into this calculator. Okay, all with me? Who's confused? Right. Now you press AC. All clear. By pressing AC, you are storing the information on the calculator. Okay, AC. Now it looks like everything is gone. Don't panic. It's okay. See, all that went to waste. Okay, so the calculator is storing that information. You can work a bit faster. This is doing slow because of it's your first time doing it. Okay? Calculator works much faster than this. Calculator can handle it. Right. Now you press Shift. Number 1. Why do you think you're pressing number 1? Because there is a little stat in yellow. To activate any key in yellow, I must press Shift first. Any key in red or maroon or pink, whatever, then you press that alpha button first. You see that? So you press Shift, number 1. So it's going in the stat mode. What number thing you want to press now? 4. So press 4. So you press Shift, number 1. And you're pressing 4. Why 4? For variances. So number 1, number 4, number 4 for variance. Now number 1 tells us how many values there are. If I must press number 1, what do you think the answer will be? 10, because I'm in the 10 value. No? But we don't want to know. You see, number 2, with the X with the thing on top, this is your mean. And number 3 is your standard deviation. Okay, that S must be, don't tell me you get Afrikaans again now. No? Huh? What do you get now? Geography. Okay, so it's fine. Okay, so this is your standard deviation, and that is your mean. Can you see that, people? So let's press 2 and see what we get. So your mean, so you press number 2. Right? Is your mean 0? No, what must we press? Equal this. What's wrong with you? So what do we get? Did you all get 67? Right, so your mean is 67. Let's check on what's your standard deviation. So how do I check for standard deviation? I press Shift. What do you think I'm going to press now? 1. So the dot is still entered in the calculator. Shift. 1. 4 for variance. And what number for standard deviation? 3. 3 for standard deviation. Equal 13,13. So the standard deviation is 13.30. Okay. Give me 1 minute. Alright. You all okay with this? Now, normally the question says, determine, this question was not asked, but it says determine the number of values, or in this case, what was this? Learners. Determine the number of learners or values that lies within 1 standard deviation of the mean. Okay, this was not asked, I'm doing it now one time. Okay? Determine the number of values or learners that lies within 1 standard deviation of the mean. So what I do is I worked out the mean already. Let's say minus your standard deviation and your mean plus your standard deviation. So your mean is going to be 67 minus 13.13 and 67 plus 13.13. So let's put that in the calculator. 67 minus 13.13 gives us 53, comma 87. And what will happen if I put minus there, or plus, sorry? So here we're building up a range for ourselves now. Okay, it's a range of values. That is 80, comma 13. So that's a range of values now. So it says within one standard deviation of the mean. In other words, it's within these values, that lies between those values, that range of values. So does 78 lie within that range of values? Yes. 51? No. 88? No. 45? Huh? No. 60? Yes. 70? Yes. 74? Yes. 64? Yes. 58? Yes. 82? No. So how many values actually lies within one standard deviation of the mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So therefore 6 values, or 6 learners lies within, oops, the calculators there, within one standard deviation of the. When it asks you what percentage lies within one standard deviation of the mean, what would you have done differently? Up until that point I would have done the same. But then I would have said 6 divided by 10 times 100, which will give me 60% lies within one standard deviation of the mean. Okay, do you guys understand? For those of you who are confused, you can rewatch the video later on. I know you're going to your favorite subjects now. For homework, of course, do not use the table. Okay, you saw now how I work the story out, no? I want you guys to do exercise 13.5. 13.5, let's just check how many sums are here. Yes, 7. 9. Right, you do for me the odd numbers only. Please do not do the whole exercise. Okay? Only do the odd numbers. Out of exercise. What exercises? Okay, you guys got it, no? Enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon, class.